Welcome to Intersection Chats. I am Reme Mancera and I am here today with Rene. I am so excited that you have accepted this invitation. Thank you for being here. Looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name's Rene. I am a web developer. I help small businesses with marketing and such. So I think we're going to talk about services pages today. So it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really because I was in one of the talks that you gave around portfolio pages and service pages and how to showcase what you do as a
Mm-hmm.
service based business, and I'm really interested to see how this type of pages in our website, how we can combine that with storytelling, our personal brand story, and how to leverage the connection that you can create with your own stories and combine that with the social proof that you are providing in this
Mm-hmm.
type of pages. So I am really curious about your own experience working with clients. How has been for you? Like, I don't know, difference between when you have worked with someone that they have defined their personal brand story and they have clarity about that, um, in opposite with when that didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. So there's always kind of varying degrees of people who come, ready to build a website. Let's just like stick with that. Like people who don't have a website yet and they're ready to build a website. So a lot of times I will find that, as people are trying to explain what they do, me as a possible consumer, just random person, like I don't quite get it yet. So, we really have to work with clients sometimes to get them to explain everything that they do and how they can help clients. And it only makes it stronger when there's like a why behind it. So
Mm.
why they do what they do. I think that helps explain it the best, because if you just say, I do X, sometimes there's not really that connection. People are like, oh, well, everybody does X, or my nephew does X. But if they can really explain why and kind of dig a little bit deeper, typically I work with clients who are writing their own content, and I prefer that, just because they do what they do. So I feel like they can explain it the best, but they don't always know how to explain it the best. So those are things that we talk about, in addition to the other pages on their site and what should go on each page. So I think it's important. And I've seen more success with clients who are able to, tell me why, and that helps them explain it.
Mm. Yeah, I think that using your story as a way to amplify
Mm-hmm.
the things that you do, and especially I am usually like to work around how your story can explain what is your unique approach, because there could be other people offering similar services, offering
Mm-hmm.
different something similar to you. No one else has your life path, and
Mm-hmm.
at the same time you will have a unique approach. It's different depending on what is your background, what is your personality, your values, and so on. And I feel like you can use sharing a specific moment in your journey as a way to highlight that unique approach. So I feel that's really powerful, especially when you are working around people that can be offering things that are similar to
Mm-hmm.
others. And there is a lot of service-based business owners that are in that area, where that's why portfolios or service
Mm-hmm.
and showcases are so important, because it's like you can see other work that they have done,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. And I think that you can find out those differentiators for yourself when you work through some portfolio work. I know that, we were in a call together about portfolios, and, I really like to start with, and this can help build your service page too. So not just about the portfolios. If you start with some really great targeted questions, to someone that you have worked with, they will let you know those differentiators. They will let you know, oh, hey, I came to work with you because other people were doing this. So people who did the same thing as them, they were doing this differently, and this is really what I value. So I think that can help you, because it's hard, right? It's hard to explain what we do. We just do what we do. It's hard to kind of like sell it, right? And not even sell it exactly, but to connect with someone who can understand, okay, this is the work that I need help with, but also this is a great person to help me do it because of this. So I think that it can be really collaborative. You don't just have to do it all yourself. You can let those clients help you um, kind of figure out what to say and how to say it, and they can help pull it out of you, I guess.
Mm, yeah, 100%. Because it's like, I feel like sometimes we are so into our own like services, way of
Hmm.
doing things, that maybe we have a skill that is natural to us, but it's
Hmm.
really valuable for our clients and the work that we do. And that's why I also invite people to check the testimonials, the
Hmm.
messages that they are getting, are the people highlighting.
Hmm.
And maybe for them something really natural, but others are seeing this really valuable. And so this is something that I invite people first to think about, that okay, what
Hmm.
is, for example, a natural skill that is valuable
Hmm.
for your clients. And then think about your own life journey and think about other moments in your life when that specific skill that you have has been valuable for others, maybe your
Hmm.
family, maybe your friends, maybe a past work experience, and how that will show that this is not just skill that is valuable now with this work that you do
Hmm.
with clients, but it's something natural to you. It's your way of seeing the world
Hmm.
and participating there. So I feel that that could bring a lot of nuances about who you are
Hmm.
as a person, and also it will help your portfolio, your service page,
Hmm.
to be more memorable, especially if someone is looking for a provider and is
Hmm.
checking several people and they are like kind of comparison. So you want to also showcase that personality there, and highlighting your stories maybe can help you to be more memorable.
Yeah, and I found that this year especially, I've been freelancing for a number of years, and this year I found maybe more so than other years, even when a potential client comes to me, I am hearing a lot this year of, I'm looking for someone because the person I was working with has no longer responded. So
Mm.
I'm getting a lot of people coming looking for someone who is responsive. And I'm very responsive. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Like, and I was thinking about this, as I was trying to prepare for this call. I was saying my dad was a mechanic, and he said that uh, part of it, he owned his own garage and everything, and part of the job is just showing up and doing the job, like showing up and doing what you say you're going to do. And I don't know if something is changing out there, that more and more people are less and less responsive, but I really feel very strongly about this. So when I am connected with people who need someone who is responsive, I'm like, I'm your person. Like, I'm going to hunt you down when you don't respond to me. So, and I think that that is helpful for people, in terms of accountability. So just thinking, of my own
Yeah.
story and my own experiences this year, that's definitely something that has come up that maybe I wouldn't have thought about in times past. So,
Mm, mm. Yeah, I feel like that's also something related to someone's values. Like, what
mhm,
are your values in your business, but also in
mhm,
your life, and how that is going to somehow articulate how you are showing up in your
mhm,
business. And it's not just about doing an exercise and deciding what are your values and sharing
mhm,
that. Is about, okay, how you are running your business, showing up for people that are interested in what you do,
mhm,
people that are hiring you to help them in a way or another, or getting your offers as well. So yeah, I feel that that's something really important, and especially nowadays with yeah, of course, AI, and more
mhm,
like a lot of, there is a lot of content out there. There is a lot of options for people to choose from. So you really want to highlight excuse me, you really want to highlight what is unique, and
mhm,
how is like you as a human, multifaceted
mhm,
person, and showing that, so you can create that connection with people. They can see, okay, this person is behind this brand, behind this
Hmm.
business, and I am in relationship with them, so I can count on them that they are going to respond, they are going to show up and do what they said they do. I feel overall communication is so important when you
Yes.
are working on
Hmm.
teams, or with someone as a provider, with your own people that help you, if you have a team or if you are part of a community. So I feel that overall, if you go back to, okay, how I am communicating, maybe you don't get to a deadline, how you are
Hmm.
communicating that, how you are making sure people know about that, and all that, I feel that's like really really key.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think that, we were talking at the beginning about like just building a website, maybe starting a business. And you do the best that you can at that time to, connect all the dots and let everybody know what you do. But, as time goes on, you may see more things. More things may come up, like for example, the responsiveness. I've definitely added some information to my own services pages about being responsive. And other things have come up too that I didn't maybe really realize at the time. Another thing that's come up recently is I've seen um, just kind of the quality of work of some other agencies like mine being far below what I would deliver. And I think that that's, I kind of, I was driving in the car this morning and I was like getting really worked up about it. Like, you are, a web development agency and you are offering this to your clients and you're not doing a good job. They don't know that, they don't know that, things aren't up to par, up to standards, like what they should be. And that, it makes me mad. Like it makes me angry that, people are paying other people who are not doing a good job. So I think another thing is trying to communicate that you do a good job. And how do you communicate that to people? And how can they see that you are doing a good job? I think that also part of it can, to that communication can come in with like proactive communication. Like I had a client yesterday who we got a notification that one of their plugins is vulnerable and there's no patch right now. So just like letting them know, like, hey, that's a thing that we need to worry about. You're paying me, I worry about that for you. I'm letting you know what's happening, and then we'll see. So we'll wait a couple days, hopefully it'll get updated. If it doesn't, then we'll start to, we'll need to make plans for that. So I think that that is a way that you can, again, just communicate like what you're doing. And if there's a way for you to incorporate that on your service page, or if there's a question that you can ask that person, when they're giving you a review or a testimonial, so that others can see, oh, okay, this is what it actually means to do a good job in the thing that I'm hiring them for.
Mm. Yeah, and I would love for us to go in like maybe giving some practical details about how people that if they are maybe listening to us and they are thinking, okay, maybe I am not sure in my
Mhm.
website I am showing my services in this way or using my testimonials in a more effective way.
Mhm.
So I would love if you have one specific advice for those to check if they have a good showcase of what they do.
Yeah, so I would say if you can find someone who is, let's say, maybe a potential lead, or even a friend, and see if they can re-communicate to you what your service page actually says. What are the services as you have described them? If they can give that back to you, and if it still makes sense, then I
Mm.
say you're on the right track. A lot of times I've noticed, and I've noticed this myself as a consumer. A couple years ago, we bought windows, and the people come to the house, right? And they give you the whole presentation, and they use so much jargon. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, and so, us in our, everyday businesses, even like SEO, right? So I was teaching a class one time and I went through this 15-minute, like very brief, just introduction to SEO. And at the end, one of the students said, "What is SEO?" And I said, "Oh no, I have misjudged what my potential clients, or, my students in that case, know about this. I need to take another step back." So if your services are maybe a little bit too confusing or a little bit too advanced. Like they need to be a little bit more easily explained. And I suppose that you could use, chat GPT for this, say like, here's what I have for my services. Is there anything I'm missing? Like, do I need to explain anything a little bit better? Do I need to, is it too wordy? Is it too dense? Do I need to break it out into bullets? So I think if you're able to come up with a starting point and then refine from there based on feedback. And you can also look at competitors. You could see how they're explaining things and if there's a way that you could do it better. So I think there's a lot of ways, but I would say one being get somebody who's not, who doesn't do what you do to read it and then explain it to you. And if you're on the right track, then good.
I really like that approach, and especially if it's someone that is can be looking for a
Mm-hmm.
solution like yours, and that, because I feel like that's also something key, like really knowing who is your audience and in which stage of their journey
Mm-hmm.
they are, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like you can be offering. I work a lot with people that they are pivoting in their business,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe some time ago they were working more with beginners, but now they are somehow transitioning to working with more advanced type of clients. And with that in mind, you can see how the examples and how you share what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the features of what you do and all that. It can be a bit more advanced language if
Mm-hmm.
your audience is a bit more in that
Mm-hmm.
not more advanced stage. But if you are going to focus on beginners, yeah, maybe make sure that you are, if you are using this kind of jargon and that, you
Mm-hmm.
are somehow explaining how it is, or how, or where they creating some kind of resources for them to understand what you mean and so on. So I feel like that is something key as well, like really understanding who is your audience and what are their knowledge about the topic,
Mm-hmm.
what is the awareness that they have about the
Mm-hmm.
topic. If they are like really really not aware of the technical language,
Mm-hmm.
you will need to go down and
Mm-hmm.
explain things in a way that anyone can understand, anyone that doesn't have any
Right.
knowledge about that. And I feel that sometimes, especially with certain businesses, when you are like really using technical language, you are sometimes talking to your peers instead
Mm-hmm.
of your audience, and that's
Right.
something to have in mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
How has
Yeah.
been for you?
Yes, no, I totally agree. I think that it's you have to figure out who your audience is. Yes, and if they're getting that information. And I think that it's also an ongoing process. Like it's not like a brochure where, your designer designs it and you write it and it's all good and then you send, 500,000 to print and then that's the brochure that you have. Like your website is like a living, breathing thing. So we should be looking at this. It's not like, oh, we built it, it's done. I mean, unfortunately, that's what happens a lot of times, but like you should be reviewing this once in a while to make sure that what you offer is there. So that's one problem. People have offerings that aren't even on their website. Like how do you expect people to know about that? But also that you're explaining it the best way possible, that you're updating it with those new testimonials, because those clients, potential clients could see themselves in that new client that you just had, and that's just another opportunity. So if you're letting those get stale, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Like it's great to do the work, right? You're finding the clients, you're doing good work, but like you as a business owner, we need to let people know. So we have to revisit those services pages. You have to keep your portfolio up if you want to keep growing, if you want to keep serving new clients. So
Mhm.
that's just my
Yeah,
spiel.
and I feel like when, for example, in one of your services, you know that there are a certain aspect of benefit that people highlight.
Hmm.
Okay, make sure that you are sharing, you are highlighting that,
Hmm.
you are sharing social proof that people
Yes.
like are
Hmm.
um yeah, are
Hmm.
emphasizing how that's an important
Hmm.
way thing that you do. And also I will invite you to think about your own story and how you can include there
Hmm.
um, pieces of your own journey that will help you to even make that part more memorable and
Hmm.
make it in a way like amplifying the impact that
Right.
this will have. Because I feel like when you are getting like the social proof on a side and then sharing a touch point with yourself and you and your own story, that will help to build up and make that like, okay, here is something important, so you are making
Mhm.
sure that there are like different angles and the people can get it from different sides, especially because I don't know you, but I'm sure that when I am looking for some solution for my own or for my business, the first time that I am just making a quick scan, I
Mhm.
am not reading word by word everything
Mhm.
that is there. So, like using the formats and the images and different
Mhm.
ways of explaining same things is going to help different people to get that messaging, right? So,
Yeah, and I think that it also goes over time as well. So, if somebody is, let's say they land on one of your blog posts and they're reading the blog post, yes, they're going to skim, they're not going to read it word for word every single word. And then they're going to probably go about their business. And like, is there another opportunity for you to connect with them? And this is where, lead magnets and email signups and connecting on social media and that, it's another step, and that's a great opportunity to share another piece of your story or something that can help them next, right? So it's not just like I've packed my services page so full with everything that everybody needs to know, and then people will read the entire thing and then they will hire me. Like, that's not really how it works, right? Like,
mm,
we need these touch points like over time. So is there a way to stay in touch, and then you can share another piece of your story with them, something that will help them, something that they can connect with, and then is there another opportunity? And that's why email is so great, because you're showing up in their inbox. But I will say that, like, I'm very much of the camp, like, I've heard something recently that said, like, if you're emailing once a month, see if you can email once a week. If you're emailing once a week, see if you can email once a day. And I just, like, do not email me once a day. I am unsubscribing from that. I just unsubscribed from somebody. It was just too much. Like, it was just so, if you really want to email that often, like, give me an opportunity to get less emails from you. Like, I still might want to stay connected because I think what you're saying is valuable, but I don't have the capacity to take on all of your stories and all of your services and decide, because I have other things going on as well. So I think that we can still communicate our services and our story, maybe in some other ways, trickle slowly,
mm.
to people's capacity.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like that's also considering your audience
Hmm.
capacity and your own, because
Yes.
sometimes we get
Hmm.
all this
Hmm.
advice and it's yeah, but this is not sustainable for my
Hmm.
business, for my life style, or for the things that I want to focus on.
Hmm.
So yeah, I 100% agree that you need to check what is the best way for you
Hmm.
and your audience, and what makes more sense for your business. I
Right.
feel with any advice that
Yes.
I feel like that can be the case.
Yes, people give advice though as if it's the advice. Like, this is the thing that you're supposed to be doing and we're all supposed to be doing it. Like, no. That is not how it is. If somebody rolls along, random person with some advice, like, you don't necessarily have to take that. It might not work for you. You should look at it with a critical eye, evaluate it. Can I take something from this? Can I take all of this? Like, would this work for me? And then use it or leave it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I feel that's like really important, and it's not one size fits all.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, what is your case?
Hmm.
What is your goal? What is the
Right.
business model that you want to have? And then you will
Hmm.
consider, okay, having that in mind, what is the best approach for
Hmm.
whatever you want to do? Can be promoting, can be showing what you have for your audience. And with email, I feel is kind of similar. I agree, it's a great medium to share
Hmm.
your stories, to create loops in your stories, so
Hmm.
you
Oh
have
yeah.
the capacity to
Mhm.
go through different emails and spacing out like the stories that you're sharing and so on. um I am curious because I know that you offer the email
Mhm.
help as well with your clients. How, when you are working around the service pages or portfolios pages, how that will connect with the email that they are sending? How you use the content or the testimonials that you are putting in the service pages? How you later go and use them as well in the email, if that's the case.
Yeah, so it depends on, what how often people want to send email. Like I find that my clients are on the end of not sending very often. So, we kind of look at like what are you able to do or what are we able to automate? But, I personally love like a welcome sequence, right? Like so I'm giving them something and then I have a couple emails, that are not like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. A couple things, but it's a summary.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, like if there's a lead magnet, you deliver the lead magnet and then a day or 2 or 3 later you're checking in on them. Do they have questions about the lead magnet? Were they able to consume the lead magnet? Whatever it is, like, offering some kind of help, not just like, oh hey, and I offer these services. That could be like a PS, at the bottom, or if you have some kind of call, that's kind of like I would say that, a blog post, you're kind of here. And then the lead magnet, a little bit warmer, a call, a free call, a little bit warmer, and then people buying your services, um, or buying your low price offer, the next level. And people aren't just going to jump to that offer. They need, I don't know you, like I need to get a little bit, needs to be a little bit warmer. So I think that you can tell more of your story in maybe a later email in that sequence. I think if you deliver the lead magnet and you're like, here's who I am, like right away, it's like, wait, like I'm I'm focused on me. I'm focused on my problems. That's why I signed up for your lead magnet. You telling me all about you right away is a little bit too much. So I guess I would think of it like, if you're at a party and you're having a conversation with someone, like you're like, we want this to be natural. We don't want this to be like really like weird or forced or like I have to get this testimonial in. Like you just like easy. If there's a connection, as you're getting to know each other, if there's a connection, like it will continue. And if there's not, that's okay because maybe they're not your people.
Mm, yeah. Um, I'm really curious to know how you help your clients to collect these testimonials, because I feel
Mm-hmm.
that in the work that you do, testimonials and reviews from actual clients is really important to put together the pages that you help your clients with. So in that previous part, like collecting the testimonials and the type of questions that they might ask, how you advise your clients to do that, and what is the best way that you find is more helpful for them?
I think that you can't just say, like, hey, give me a testimonial, because what people are going to say is not useful. They'll say something very generic, like, Rene was great to work with. Like, okay, yeah, but why? So I think you need to ask them some very targeted, specific questions. And I have questions that I share with my clients. Let me actually pull them up because then I'll be able to tell you what they are specifically. Um, so the first question I ask is, what was your biggest concern before hiring me? And then did it come true? So this
Mm.
actually lets them get into the pain points that they were having. And then often this connects to, the things that I do really well. So, going back to kind of that responsiveness, like I was afraid that you were not going to be responsive like my previous developer, so then I can use that. And then when it's in the client's own words on those pages, on social media, in the emails, people see like, oh, okay, like that's a better testimonial than someone being like, Rene was great. The next one, and there's three. The next one, what specifically was your favorite part about our work together and why? And sometimes, these are similar, and that's great. It's something to highlight. And sometimes these are different things. And that's great because that gives more things that you can communicate with people in the future. And the last one is, if you were to recommend me to your best friend, what would you say?
Mm.
And that's great because they kind of write it in, you know, like I could just use it right from there.
Mm.
So that, I think those are great questions. And I have other questions, and I can give you a link. I have a blog post about it, um, because they're short, right? Because you don't want to be like, hey, can you outline every single thing that we did together? It's going to take you 20 minutes. Like, people don't have time for that. But they do want to be helpful. They do want to give you something because you have given them something. So I think that I've had success with those questions, and I think other people have too. I will say I don't work with all service businesses, so it's not always applicable for clients. But in the cases where it is, I think that those are helpful. easy questions to ask, and giving, putting those you could put those in an email, put 3 questions in an email, send that email out. If you want to be really geeky, you could make a template and, attach it to a process, so that you're being very efficient with it, but you don't have to do that. So
Hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing those. I also tend to use like 3 questions when I
mhm.
am doing that, and inviting my clients to do the same with their own clients. I always ask how did they feel before
Oh,
working
okay, yeah.
together,
Hmm.
and how they feel after,
Those
so
are good,
to
yeah.
have this transformation. And
Hmm.
then the last question is kind of similar to yours. What I ask then is like, to whom will they recommend my offer,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
why?
Hmm.
That's usually what is happening is they are describing
Hmm.
the situation that they were in, or the type of the group of people that they think they belong to.
Hmm.
So that helps also with the language about
Hmm.
who are you like offering your services to, and so on. So but I agree on the idea of, yeah, choose a
Hmm.
3 or something like that, but give them
Hmm.
something specific to think about
Yeah.
an answer. Yeah, make for them as easy as possible, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had some interaction with people who don't ask questions. They're like afraid. And I'm like, what?
Mhm,
I'm not sure what you're afraid of. Like, that the project went well, because you can just tell when the project goes well. You don't have to send it to everybody if the project doesn't go well or you weren't happy with it, but I think that you'll get a good answer. Now, I have had some people just not write a lot, right? So they
mhm,
answer the questions, very briefly, and I maybe there's not much I can do with that, and that's okay. Because hopefully I'll be working with more than one person, so I can just ask the next person. um, but don't be afraid, I think, is the other thing, because I do think that, like, I think it, like, unlocks something, and you can just use those testimony, like, right on your services pages, and you can then, I think, connect it back to your, like, oh, you know what, I am really organized, and this is why, I remember why, and that's, a service that I'm offering specifically, or that's a feature of my service that I'm offering specifically, that not everybody offers. And there are people out there who will find it valuable because, they need that accountability, or, that's just an example.
yeah, yeah, I feel that is helpful, not just for the audience but also for
Hmm.
yourself.
Yes.
In the sense, as you said, like reminding
Hmm.
yourself, yeah, actually I do
Hmm.
think, because yeah, not every day you feel the same way, so
Yes.
sometimes having this external,
Hmm.
like, okay, there is some proofs here that people
Yes.
get satisfied, and all
Hmm.
that. So sometimes can be harder, and then having those points of positivity is like, okay, yeah, that's the people get help, and I
Hmm.
help them to feel like I know how to listen to them. I know the
Hmm.
question that I might help, or whatever is
Hmm.
the case that you help them with. So I feel that can be also beneficial for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Before we start like wrapping up, I would like to ask you, like, in your experience as someone helping others to build services pages, what is something that you see sometimes people are forgetting to include in their service pages that you feel is important?
Just a lot. Like, I think that some people are just like, oh, I just do this thing. It's just very brief, it's very quick, it's like, it's just not enough. I think that you can explain it more. I think you can show examples, have those testimonials, and explaining what you do is a fine start. I think that if you don't have anything, um, just saying, like, these are the things I do, is a really great start. But I think that, we talked about this before, people are not going back and refining these, and building them, and really showcasing what they do, and also what they want to do. So when I first started freelancing, I did a bunch of stuff because I wasn't sure what I liked, what I was good at, what the industry needed. And now there are definitely things that I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't like that. So I do these other things instead. So I think, being able to revisit and update more. I just redid my website earlier this year. I've been freelancing for years. Um, but it was just time for, like, this was like a heartier refresh, and I do feel happier, with my own personal service page, because I went back through and I weeded out all the stuff I didn't want to do. And I'm showcasing all the stuff I actually do and that I want to do. So I think that people could give more, right?
Mhm.
Add more
Mm.
juicier information, up to date information.
Yeah, I really, really like that you highlighted the aspect of updating it, because sometimes, yeah, we are, maybe we are freelancers
Mm-hmm.
and we are just doing our services for others, and we get like not reviewing our own stuff and
Mm-hmm.
having a website with the services like maybe 3 years ago, and then you didn't
Yes.
refresh, and
Yes.
you have evolved, so your
Yes.
services has evolved. Now you have more, maybe you have a different structure of how you run that service, or that
Mm-hmm.
or you maybe create another package and you just sell it organically to people,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have that in your website.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something as well. And especially if you are considering like getting more visibility,
Mm-hmm.
okay, make sure that you are maybe just reading what is in
Mm-hmm.
your website. And I am the first that I am guilty of that, that
We all do
maybe,
it.
so it's
Yes.
like I am not saying here this from the
Mm-hmm.
place of everything in my website is
Yes.
perfect. No. So
Mm-hmm.
this is like even my own reminder to, yes, you need
Mm-hmm.
to revisit your website and read
Mm-hmm.
everything and make sure that everything, and yeah, like include testimonials that are more
Mm-hmm.
fresh, and maybe are, you have their testimonials that you
Mm-hmm.
remember you worked so long ago with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that the testimonial is not valid, it's like
Mm-hmm.
for you it's not something fresh and up to
Yeah.
date, right? So I
Right.
feel
Yeah.
that. And of course I will invite people to consider including your stories, not just in your about me
Mm-hmm.
page, including part of your story over your website,
Mm-hmm.
over your services pages. And even when you are sending a proposal or
Mm-hmm.
a quotation, yeah, you can be creative there and include there pieces of your story again to highlight those benefits that you want to highlight.
Yeah, and using, like you said, using those in many places, not just on your about page. It's the same with the testimonials.
Yeah.
Using, like, use those, put those other places. And people think that, the way that the client wrote the testimonials exactly how they need to use it, you
Hmm.
can take out two sentences and leave the other two sentences. Like, that's perfectly fine. If you need a shorter one for this use, this email or whatever, like, you can definitely do that. And and you're right. We don't, we as business owners are focused on client work first, right? Because that's what brings the money in. And then, yeah, less so like marketing and, communicating our services. But I really feel strongly that, at least in my case, like, I have to be a good example. I
Hmm.
can't tell my clients, oh, well, you have to have a great services page if my services page sucks, or if it doesn't have the latest information. So I don't want to give any advice that I wouldn't be willing to follow myself.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, just I wanted to ask you if there are any message or any piece of information that you feel is important for people to consider, and maybe we haven't touched on that.
Um, I feel like we've touched on everything, all the things, everything that we said for the past 38 minutes. That's all important.
Nice. Okay, and usually how I finish these calls are asking like a way to summarize the connection
Mhm.
between personal brand story and service pages in this case. So do you have one, two, three words to summarize
I
that?
think, well, I think that you can, and we did talk about this a little bit. You can go about it maybe a little bit backwards if that's easier for you. So for me to sit down and think about, okay, what is my story and how does that tie to my services? Sometimes I have found that I can see that more in listening to clients and potential clients. So my examples from earlier, potential clients this year, I'm hearing a lot of people saying about other people not being responsive. Okay, I can work with that. I know, and I know why. So I can
Mhm.
tie that together. And also those testimonials, asking clients, targeted questions. I can see when they're saying Rene communicates really well. Rene is very organized. Okay, yes, that is a thing that I know, from my past, and that's one of, the things that really makes me me, and really makes the work I do unique, compared to someone else. So I don't think that you have to just like sit down and figure it all out. I think that if you're stuck, you can listen to potential clients, or existing clients, and ask questions and see if you can figure it out. Obviously, working with someone like you, of course, in addition, I know you help people pull that out. But if they're just kind of like by themselves trying to figure it out, I think that could be getting another person in there to help them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I always invite people to think up first about their own stories, and of
Mhm.
course, happy to help people to figure
Mhm.
it out their stories, because I feel like sometimes we are so close that
Yeah.
we might overlook
Yeah.
things that can be interesting to share.
Mhm.
But if you want to start, just go. And I love that approach of finding what are the benefits, the key factors that you want to
Mhm.
highlight, and then look for, okay, in exploring your own journey, and see if there
Mhm.
are other moments in your journey that can you can use to highlight and to elevate that. So
Mhm.
I love that approach. For me, I would say the way of summarize will be actually emphasizing benefits. I
Mhm.
feel like the service page is one of the things, is not just the features but the
Yes,
benefits.
yes, we didn't talk about that. Yes, we could have talked about that forever. No, that's exactly right. People are like, I do X. Like, no, like what,
Yeah.
why? And yeah, why? And what does it mean for that person? Yes, you're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So, and I feel that that's the case for both. Like in the service pages, emphasizing the benefits, and then using your stories to do that same, to
Mhm.
emphasize the benefits and what is important. That's why I really like to think about. I always say that I am collecting creative ways to use your
Mm.
stories, because it's like it's not just your about me
Yeah.
page, but how, if you have a sales call, how you can incorporate your stories
Hmm.
there in a way that they
Hmm.
are like bridges for you to talk about the things that you want to highlight. So
Yeah.
yeah, first of all, you don't need to have a lot of different big stories,
Hmm.
and it's okay. You don't need, I always said, you don't need an epic story
Hmm.
to share your personal brand story. Think about the benefits that you want to highlight. Think about the skills that people are highlighting from working with you, and then think about, okay, there is any story in my personal side that I can bring to reinforce this idea.
Hmm.
Start there, and then you can practice. I feel like
Hmm.
storytelling is also a practice
Hmm.
experience. So you will get more natural, you will see what fits better, you will see the reaction of people, if they remember
Hmm.
things and they are commenting
Yeah.
to you, and so on.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all that.
Nice. So thank you so much for this. Has been a pleasure. How people can find more about what you do and the work that you do?
Yeah, so probably links in the description would be the best.
Yeah.
My name is Rene Morozowich. It's renemorozowich.com. It's long. So yeah, links in the description, and I'll get you that link for. I have a blog post about questions that you can ask, and there's other questions that you can ask instead. I mean, don't ask 50 questions. Ask a couple, but pick your favorites, and that'll give you a starting point instead of like, okay, I have to sit down and do this. What do I do? So it'll kind of help you get started.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. I'll make sure to add that. And I am also sharing, like, I have a series of examples of story connectors, the way that
Mm-hmm.
I do personal brand story. And there, the people will have specific questions to think about themselves. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sharing one sample of clients. So there are like several examples there. So it will be, they will see what I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
then they can think about their own case. So I feel that can be also something practical that they can combine both, like the question for the testimonials,
Mm-hmm.
and then question about their own stories, and they can use that to put there in their service pages and everywhere else that they feel can be useful.
Yeah, perfect.
Nice. Okay,
Yay.
thank you so much,
Thank
everyone,
you.
and see you next time. Thank you,
Yay,
Rene.
thanks. Yeah.